I'm here at the Morro Strand State Beach, which is one of the 70 state parks that the state of California is preparing to shut down if the governor's proposal is approved. The Central Coast Natural History Association is one of many organizations that is attempting to stop the closure.
There's a common misperception out there that state parks do not generate revenue. We actually generate $2.56 for every dollar that is spent on state parks, and this $22 million cut that we need to absorb in the next 2 years is actually an ongoing cut of nearly 36% to the state park system over the past 30 years. So this means we're in dire straits, and with these 70 park closures, that is 25% of this system. It is the first time in history of the 106-year history of state parks that state parks are being closed. Now, the initial criterion seemed to be that it was going to be parks that didn't have high usage or didn't make a lot of money, but when you look at the numbers, especially in the summer here, we have high visitation between 5,000 and 7,000 people per month during our summer months. So I think this is a vital part of the Morro Bay economic activity here, that we generate money for Morro Bay, and of course it's a beautiful park that people use heavily.
You said that the state parks actually make money. Describe how it makes money.
We make money through camping revenues, concessionaires licenses, and also what people forget is that we have a huge economic impact on our local communities. I've had business owners from Morro Bay say if our state parks close, this town shuts down.
How do you plan on keeping the park open if the state isn't willing to pay for it?
Well, unfortunately, these 70 parks that are slated to close, these are supposed to be permanent closures. And we just found out the closure list in the past 2 weeks, and we are working with the California State Park Foundation and an organization called CALPA, California League of Park Association, of which we are a member, to start formulating plans about just how we can keep this park open. So we're very early in the game. AB 42 just passed unanimously, giving cooperating associations like ours the right to enter into operating agreements to temporarily run parks until the state can afford it again.
In layman's terms, AB 42, would you please briefly describe it in layman's terms?
Central Coast Natural History Association is one of 85 cooperating associations. They're all nonprofits, and they're under contract to provide support for educational and interpretive programs at state parks throughout the state. AB 42 will give the right for these nonprofits to enter into official operating agreements beyond our mission now of providing educational and interpretive support to actually operate parts or all of parks.
All right. And so we've talked about the state beach closing, but they can't actually rope off the beach. There's a state law against that. So what are we talking about when we talk about closing Morro Strand State Beach? What are they?
There's a lot that goes into the running of a park that people don't realize. So naturally, of course, this campground will close. It has 76 spaces in it. We are full in the summer months. And then what people don't stop to consider is, no, we can't literally rope the beach off, but right behind us, for instance, we have endangered habitat for the snowy plover. This is monitored by state park environmental scientists. So who is going to help cover our environmental work here? Who would be paying for ranger protection, sewer, water, electricity, all the unsaid things, housekeeping that go into running a state park. So you can do that. You can turn off the campground, but then who manages the rest of the beach?
All right, and so we're are we talking about layoffs as far in the State Parks Department?
Absolutely, absolutely. Right now, there are over 500 vacancies in the state park system. We are seriously understaffed right now, but to achieve this $22 million cut, it looks as though those positions will not be filled, and this is to avoid as many layoffs as possible, and then it's very likely that many state park staff will have to move to other areas.
All right. Now, South Carolina has actually successfully closed 2 state parks that were not doing so well. And they, what they did was they set up a cooperative thing where they kept the parks open to the public, but they just didn't do any maintenance or anything. And it was basically just a land that was sitting there for people to visit without having any staff monitor it or maintain it or anything. It sounds like that's the main proposal coming out of Sacramento. Do you think that that could work in a place like Morro Strand?
I don't believe it will work for any state park. Even Ruth Coleman herself, the director of state parks, said a closed park is a dead park. We have cultural resources, archaeological resources, we have buildings. If those are closed, no one takes care of them. They deteriorate, they get damaged. And again, what about road maintenance? Who takes care of the roads? Who's going to pick up garbage? Who's going to monitor the snowy plovers? Who's going to provide safety? And when parks are closed, that makes it a haven for criminal activity.
The association says that if AB 42 is passed, they would try to keep current staff employed at the state beach.